Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining today's session on Thinking Beyond ROAS. My name is Heather Liu, and I am a Senior Partner Development Manager at Amazon Ads. I've been working in ad tech for just over 2 years, where I lead strategic business development for tech partners as well as agencies. Before we get started, just a quick pulse check, and feel free to just raise your hand for this. How many folks in this room are already familiar with the term return on ad spend or ROAS? Okay, that's a lot of hands. That's awesome. What about new to brand metrics? Okay, still a good amount of hands. I like it. And last, what about Amazon Marketing Cloud or AMC? Oh, amazing. Well, that's a lot of hands too. Well, good news, you guys are in the right room because we're going to talk about all three. And hopefully, coming out of today's session, you'll feel a little bit more knowledgeable as well across all three of these key areas. So let's take a look at the agenda for today. First, we'll talk about ROAS limitations and how looking only at ROAS may be obscuring your upper funnel campaigns. Second, we'll talk about the benefit of full funnel measurement tools and how it can help you really explore a diverse subset of metrics that can help you understand your customers' path to purchase, as well as your overall advertising impact. Last, we'll be joined on stage by Global Overview and Ultima for a fireside chat, where we will learn a little bit more about how they were able to leverage Amazon Ads tooling to really make Ultima's brand budget work even harder. So just a little bit of housekeeping as well. On the screen, you'll see a QR code. You may already be familiar with this, but I'll also keep it on the screen for a few seconds. This QR code is what we will use to source Q&A questions at the very end of the fireside chat. And we will try to get through as many as possible as the time allows, but feel free to just take a quick picture so that we can use this for the Q&A. Awesome. Let's go ahead and get started. So I'd like to start my session by really pointing out this visual, this iceberg. And as you can see here at the very top, we have ROAS. Now, what if I told you that only looking at ROAS is like navigating an iceberg with just the tip in its view, really diverting your attention from other critical metrics? So while ROAS offers that clear, immediate snapshot, it only scratches the surface of your campaign's true impact. So what's underneath that surface? Well, we have metrics like branded search, brand impression share, new to brand sales, clicks, as well as video views. And by only looking at ROAS, we risk overlooking these longer term factors that can really tell us a story about overall profitability as well as success. So to navigate this full iceberg effectively, I really encourage everyone in this room to really think about that entire landscape of metrics. That includes both the hidden influences as well as the visible results. All right, let's talk a little bit further. So in today's fast-changing landscape, we're faced with headwinds and challenges. And so as advertisers, some of you may already be familiar, but cookies may soon be deprecating. And so as advertisers, you're even more accountable for your advertising dollars. Also, the consumer journey is no longer A to B. It's not this linear journey. And this means as advertisers, we're also challenged to really think about unique ways to reach our audiences. And so with this changing landscape, Amazon Ads is also adapting to really help you navigate that shift. Beyond these industry headwinds, we're really re-challenged to think about our metrics. And so some of these metrics you may already be familiar with. So we mentioned ROAS, or return on ad spend, earlier. There's also TACoS, not the food, but total advertising cost of sales. And then also ACoS, so advertising cost of sales. And while these have served all of us well in the past, they may be limiting metrics when it comes to really building your brand because they don't tell you that full picture. And so the truth is, if you want to build your brand, you're really going to have to look beyond those conversion-based metrics. And so my goal here today is to show you how to look across all stages of that marketing funnel and really consider other metrics and tools that Amazon Ads has to offer to help you navigate. And so maybe these are things that you've never tried before, like streaming TV. Or maybe these are things that you have tried before, but you just didn't really understand how to measure the full impact. And that's a great segue to our second section, which is around the benefits of full funnel measurement tools. And we'll talk about how these tools can really help you reach your new shoppers and take your brand to that next level. So on the screen and for the next few slides, we'll talk about some of these advanced measurement solutions, but we'll go very high level. And there's a lot to learn, so we'll keep it high level just for today's session. But at the end of the session during the fireside chat, we'll actually go through a real-life example of how Global Overview and Ultima were able to leverage some of these solutions. So let's talk about the first column here. We have Amazon Marketing Cloud. Amazon Marketing Cloud essentially is a privacy-safe environment in which you can connect advertiser signals as well as Amazon signals to complete custom analyses such as custom attribution, full funnel measurement, as well as media mix modeling. In the second column, we have Amazon Marketing Stream. And this is a tool that can provide hourly level as well as near real-time information related to Amazon ads. And so this can really help you make timely changes when it comes to your campaign optimizations. And especially since these reports are pushed at a regular interval versus being called via the API, this should help reduce that technical bandwidth and give you more time to really focus on optimizing your campaigns. For our last column, we have Rapid Retail Analytics. I would think of this as like a sister program to the Amazon Marketing Stream, where Rapid Retail Analytics really focuses on delivering near real-time retail analytics, which can help you improve your retail efficiency. So one example could be, let's take Amazon Marketing Stream and Rapid Retail Analytics, and let's take it in the context of Prime Day. You have 2 days, you're really concerned about performance, both on your ads as well as your retail performance, and these two tools can really help you dive deeper into that data. And I know this is a lot of information, so feel free to take a photo of this table and really reference it later on, especially as you're having more deep diving conversations around these specific solutions. One last call out to make is that in order to actually access these solutions, you will need the help of a partner. However, once you get started with a partner, I really encourage everyone to also really think creatively and think beyond the box and how these solutions can really work for your brands. Now, without further ado, we get to do the fun part. We have our fireside chat, and I'm super pleased to invite Global Overview and Ultima on stage with me. So joining me today here, we have Beth Wall as well as Gretchen Holquist. And we'd love to start off with some introductions. So Beth, let's start with you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Beth Wall. I'm the Vice President of Customer Marketing and Sales at Global Overview. Prior to joining Go, I've spent my career in consumer product goods being brand side. There, I had the opportunity to both be in brand management as well as sales. This is where I fell in love with Amazon because it brings these two together. At Global Overview with my team, we get the incredible opportunity to work with great brands like Ultima, where we understand their brand's goals and objectives, and then leverage the power of our ability to understand operations, retail, marketing, advertising, and content to really help deliver those goals for our partners.
I'm Gretchen Holquist. I started my career in brand management at Johnson & Johnson. I've worked on brands that you've probably heard of and have in your medicine cabinet. I've also been at GSK, Novartis. Prior to joining Ultima, I had my own company for about 5 years and worked on a variety of businesses. And I'm now the VP of Marketing for Ultima Replenisher, which you may or may not have heard of. It's an electrolyte powder that's designed for everyday hydration, so you feel good every day when you take it. And it's made with 6 key electrolytes, but none of the junk, all organic, plant-based flavors and colors. So it was a great opportunity for a small little diamond in the rough that had a lot of loyal following, which we'll talk about, and not a whole lot of awareness. And so it's been a great journey with Amazon and with Go to be able to grow this business and see us be able to learn a ton along the way.
Awesome. Thank you both for those awesome introductions. Gretchen, let's start with you. Can we get a little bit more context on the opportunity that you were really trying to work backwards from?
Yep. So, as I mentioned, we have a product that people love. Our friends, we call our consumers our friends. They love Ultima. We know that once we get them to try it, they will come back and be repeat customers of ours. So this was really about how do we get the word out and how do we drive awareness of Ultima Replenisher in a category that has huge amounts of competitive spending in it. And so as we started on this journey, as I think probably everybody in this room knows, those upper funnel metrics are notoriously hard to measure. And so being able to do so in a way that was responsible with a limited budget, but being able to drive new to brand, that was what we were after.
Awesome. It's a classic, a winning product that just really need the right spotlight. A classic, if you build it, they will come with a little bit of strategic finesse. So Beth, from the perspective of global overview, from the partner, how did that partnership with Ultima really evolve in tandem with their goals?
We knew it was a really competitive category and space, but it was also on fire. At one point this year, it was growing close to 50% year over year. That led to an opportunity, but what was really key is Ultima stressed to us, they said, we want long-term sustainable growth. We don't want just the fast win that can get us today. We want to make sure we can win tomorrow and beyond. And so with that, we really knew we had to lean into Amazon advertising to leverage a vast variety of their different tools to help reach our friends. And within that, we also knew we needed a multi-pronged approach. If we had just stayed in that lower funnel, yes, we might have captured some of that demand, but again, we wanted something really long-term to really bring home the messaging of why Ultima, why they're gonna be our friends for today as well as tomorrow.
And I think a lot of the folks in this room can actually resonate with some of those goals that you mentioned that Ultima had. And Beth, can you give us a little bit more detail on the specific tactics that Global Overview and Ultima really partnered together with Amazon Ads on?
Yeah, so when we were developing our plan, what was really key is Gretchen was clear with us. She said, go, Global Overview. We have 3 objectives. The first is we want to grow market share. With this category growing as fast as it was, they weren't going to be complacent to say, oh, we'll just draft off that and grow at the market. We wanted to outpace it. The next objective was really critical. She said, we want to grow new to brand or grow our friends. As she nodded to, we know we have a sticky product. She could have said, let's just continue to get our current purchasers to buy more. That would have helped us today, but wouldn't have hit that objective for a long and sustainable growth plan down the road. The third was then brand awareness. There are scrappy ways that you can go get new to brand, but we didn't just want to get a new to brand that wasn't going to be a lifelong friend. And so that was why it was really key to be really thoughtful on that. So as we started to build the strategy and the plan, we had to think about where is our friend? Are they on Amazon.com searching for electrolyte powder? Are they watching or scrolling on ESPN.com and reading about their favorite pop diva and Travis Kelce and getting content through online video? Or are they sitting down after a really long day at Accelerate with their partner and on the big screen watching Prime Video ads? Being really thoughtful about where our friends are was a really key component. And then with that, knowing that our friends are across all those different touch points is why we knew we really needed to diversify our product mix of what Amazon ad tools we were going to use. And with that too, because of that objective with brand awareness, we also really leaned that we needed to use video. We needed that power of sight, sound, and motion to build that relationship with this consumer that was going to go deeper than, say, just paying for a keyword.
And to build on what Beth said, one of the things that was really exciting about using the Amazon suite of products was being able to start to understand what message works when throughout that journey. In fact, in a planning conversation earlier today, I was joking with our CFO that if I walked up to somebody that didn't know who I was and said, hey, I have plant-based flavors and colors, they'd look at me and be like, okay, right? But if I walk up and I say something like, hey, I've got a really simple, delicious way for you to feel a little bit better every single day, now we're having a conversation, right? And so I use that analogy to think about how you have to figure out which message for your products engage which friends best along that journey. And a lot of the Amazon tools made that possible.
Well, first, I love hearing that you guys focused on ROAS, very apropos for the session today, and really also thought about testing different products across a range of digital environments. And Gretchen, you mentioned already a little bit about measurement and the tools that Amazon Ads has to offer. So actually, Beth, how did your team think about utilizing Amazon Marketing Cloud to really drive and understand impact across the different products?
Yeah, Amazon Marketing Cloud was a critical tool for us, in particular for measurement. And I'm going to give you guys 3 examples of how we used it. We're going to talk about it a little bit further, but this whole ROAS conversation, we know, especially when you invest in upper funnel media, it may not result in an immediate ad attributed return. And so we leverage path to purchase, which really helped to inform us what is that journey that consumer is taking. And what we found time and time again, that video was really serving as this gateway into the brand that drove path to purchase. And that the more we kept leaning into video, that purchase rate continued to increase. All of these little signals and signs helped us continue to tweak and refine our media mix. The second, it's going to build on this video element, frequency. How many people have watched an ad and then you get hit again and again and again and again and again? When that happens, you get into a position where you go from a love of the brand to you are driving me absolutely crazy and I never want to see you again. That is something we wanted to avoid. So we actually leveraged AMC to help us better understand what is that right level of frequency. We did this because it was critically important that we have a really strong and happy relationship with our friends, but also that we're not wasting dollars by over-serving them. And then the third, really most recently, something incredibly cool that Amazon has launched is Amazon Marketing Cloud Audiences. So we're able to leverage AMC to further add additional targeting capabilities to our campaigns.
Sounds like AMC was a really great resource to really help you understand not just the impact and the importance of video, which can sometimes be a little bit tricky, but also really help you make those further optimizations, such as with your frequency. And one of the other things you mentioned was around Ultima's goals to reach new customers. So that's like new to brand. Beth, can you tell us a little bit about new to brand, why you guys focused on it, and how it may differ from looking at only ROAS?
This conversation. Okay, so we just have to remember in this room, when you are looking in the console, it's ad attributed ROAS. I don't get paid in ad attributed. We all get paid in American dollars, right? And so when you're looking at that, you also have to remember it's last touch. So I use this analogy. You sit down for a beautiful meal. That meal came from buying ingredients, going into the kitchen, following the recipe. That is also the process that happens when a customer gets from intent all the way down to purchase. And we talk time and time again that we all realize that the consumer journey is no longer linear, that it takes multiple touch points. Yet all of us, I know I'm guilty of this too, we get trapped at analyzing success by that last click. That's not the entire story. And that's why you have to really step back and go, what are my goals and objectives? What am I trying to achieve? And go much bigger than that last KPI. Mm-hmm. And in particular, we knew in Ultima's case, they wanted to focus on new to brand. So what were going to be some signals that we know we were bringing that in? One, let's track how many absolute new customers are coming into the brand. And let's calculate CAC. The second, what are other signals that will eventually get me new to brand? You talked about it earlier about branded search. When you get a customer coming in already saying Ultima, that's powerful. I always take branded search as a popularity contest. You want as many people coming in seeking you and wanting you. That is a much warmer consumer than when they come in with not branded intent. So I just really encourage everyone to just think broader than that last click, because thankfully, due to Amazon and all the measurement they can provide, they're really giving you different tools that will all be signals to show you how this is coming together.
I love that you mentioned, bringing a new customer can take time, right? It's not necessarily the last touch attribution. And especially as shoppers, such as myself and many folks in this room, are really engaging with brands at multiple touch points. I know for myself, I'm live shopping, I'm researching, I'm reading reviews, I'm looking at ads in all different placements. And so that really consumer shopping journey there's multiple touch points involved in that. So now that we've talked a little bit about strategy, I think everyone in the room would love to hear a little bit more about the bones and the meat of the story and the campaign performance. So Beth and Gretchen, can you share some additional details around the campaign performance?
I'll kick it off and you can build. It was really exciting. I do want to caveat, we were not dealing with the biggest budget, but through the power of leveraging a lot of these tools, we were able to grow market share by 33%. To put that in further context, we grew 3x what this booming category was growing. The performance really helps Gretchen go to her leadership to say this is working. But I would say what probably Gretchen and I had the most fun about is we continued to learn. And we're continuing to learn. And throughout all these efforts, we really do believe we are helping hit today's goals, but we're also helping hit that broader goal of really building a long-term sustainable business.
Yeah. Being able to go from number 4 to number 3 in a marketplace that's growing this quickly with a budget that is not even half of our 2 largest competitors is no small feat. So I am very proud of the work that all the team has done to be able to get us here. And I think if we had only focused on ROAS, I think we would be in a very different position because we'd still be running, not that there's anything wrong with DSP by any stretch of the imagination, but to your point, it's one touch point, and being able to build this brand has taken much more than that. So I also take it as a personal win that when I went into 25 planning conversations this week, the tenor of the conversation has changed about how we can continue to demonstrate the opportunity for growth. I do still show the chart that shows my spend versus our competitors' spend, let's be honest. But it has fundamentally changed the conversation inside our company about what it takes to acquire new friends and the opportunity sitting in front of us.
I mean, a 33% increase in total market share is incredible, and not to mention number 3 in a super competitive category. So Gretchen, what's next? Have you learned anything new that has really changed how you're thinking about approaching your strategy? And especially as you're thinking about testing and your forward-looking plan, anything you're excited to kind of dip your toes into?
We continue to be very excited about the possibility with video. When we started this journey together, Prime Video was not an option. STV, I don't think, was an option the way that it is now. So we are extremely excited about those possibilities, and we're going to talk about audio too.
Awesome. We just can't say it enough. We just really do think there's a lot of power. And I would say, I agree, audio. There's this whole environment of sight, sound, and motion. Yeah. I think as you guys all think about the way that we consume media today, it's through that visualization or through that audio. And so again, when you think about building that lasting relationship, there's really something in that form of media that can be really sticky.
I love all the mentions of video, and as a video advocate myself, I'm just really excited that you guys were so interested and excited to lean into this space, which is very much fast growing and changing. So Beth, what advice would you give to advertisers, many of whom are in this room, looking to replicate some of Ultima's success?
Remember, it's a consumer. A consumer has a heartbeat. So as you think about launching video, Amazon gives you a lot of an ability to go from sponsor brand video, lower cost to entry, all the way to Prime Video ads. So if you think about that journey, let's take sponsor brand video to start. Be really cognizant. Where are they in their journey? Let's say you've been bidding on a category term. They're searching electrolyte packets. What video are you going to show that's going to help them convert? They're far down the funnel. They're saying, hey, I want an electrolyte packet. So maybe your video content should feature something with a really strong RTB or reason to believe. Be mindful of that content. And then in turn, to what Gretchen nodded to earlier, if you're going to go into Prime Video ads, you may be engaging this potential new friend before they've even considered the electrolyte category. So that's where your content may want to be about the outcome. Hey, want to feel good, fun, lifestyle, get them engaged so that they can start to say, hey, maybe I do need an electrolyte, and start to build that awareness. So really just be mindful about the content and where it's showing up to really maximize that investment. Second, I would really encourage, if you do lean into video, and maybe it's not performing to where you wanted it to be careful to not just abort. Peel back the onion. Maybe it's your creative. It's just not resonating. A/B test. Put in different creative to see if it can work stronger. Or maybe look at your targeting. Maybe there's another audience that would better resonate with your brand to help bring them in. So many times, if you can actually start to peel back the onion and really tweak either the content or the audience, you will really start to see that needle move in the right direction. So much times it's not necessarily the tactic of video, but it's that messaging and audience. And that's what's beautiful about Amazon, is you can really dive into those, tweak, measure, test and learn, and optimize.
To build on that, from a brand perspective, I think, I cannot say enough about the importance of knowing who your friends are. You may not call them your friends, and that's okay. But knowing who your consumer is the core of everything that you do. And the more specific that you can get, right? Marketing is the art of choices, and no product is for everybody. So how do you make sure that you know who she is or who your consumer is? Because that will help you get to bright faster. Second, as we've joked, we've learned a lot along this journey. We set out with goals. Assume you're not going to get it right the first time. And so being able to use the diagnostics and use some of the other measurements to say, ooh, we need a course correction here, will also help you to get to bright faster. And then finally, when you're working with your partners, whether you have a partner like a Global Overview and your partners at Amazon, be really clear on what your objectives were. That helps everybody to push in the right direction, right? The last thing we needed is going off and building us out a wonderful subscribe and save program, and I'm like, new to brand, right? Like it wouldn't have worked nearly as well. So really being clear about what the goals are and having everybody push in the same direction is a critical step in all of this.
Yeah, plus one to all of that. And so, we're really thinking beyond ROAS. We're leveraging video. We're utilizing measurement tools like Amazon Marketing Cloud, and we're really diving beneath the surface, like in the iceberg that we saw earlier, to really understand how do we track and measure brand building metrics, and what are some of those strategies that can really help you drive market share growth as well as brand awareness for your business. So to summarize today's session, we provided an overview of why we really need to consider a holistic measurement landscape for metrics, not just ROAS. We also discussed the different measurement tools that can really help you better understand your holistic customer journey. Finally, we heard from Global Overview as well as Ultima on how they put all of that above into practice by testing video, leveraging AMC to get a better understanding of how they can broaden their customer reach, as well as driving that greater efficiency.